You see this bell icon here? Hit it now and we'll ensure you get delivered the very best of reviews, interviews and pop culture content.
It's been a while, but finally we've got a new original to fill up the Amazon Prime Video show shaped hole in our lives. When the folks responsible for most of the best Indian streaming shows drop a new one, suddenly life feels good again. Created and directed by Shefali Bhushan, Guilty Minds is a legal drama that follows and contrasts two lawyers, their cases, and their differing approaches to the law. There's Kashyap Kaze, played by Shreya Upalgaonkar, a righteous, idealistic, principled lawyer who is determined to fight for the little guy through her firm, which she runs with her partner, Vandana, played by Sugandha Garg. On the other hand, there's the opportunistic, ethically loose Deepak Rana, played by Varun Mitra, who works for leading law firm KK Associates, known to take on rich clients and corporations. A lawyer's job isn't to make moral judgments, but to defend our clients to the best of our abilities, says Deepak, as the lawyer for whom the rules are but a light suggestion. Kashyap and Deepak are ex-flames and friends from college who now frequently find themselves on opposing sides of the same cases. Each episode tackles a different case aimed at presenting a new grey area as a means to examine ideas of ethics and morality within the legal system. In terms of its pitch, Guilty Minds doesn't fall into the Bollywood court movie genre, where a courtroom typically serves as an arena for loud theatrics and melodrama and long monologues about whichever social issue is trending that week. The aim and intent of this show is to offer a more grounded, authentic portrayal of Indian courts. But more on that later. I have to say, I really struggled with the first few episodes of Guilty Minds. It really took me some time to find my feet with it. I couldn't quite wrap my head around what the show was going for or what it was trying to say and how it balanced the procedural elements of a new legal matter in each episode with the overarching story of Kashyap and Deepak and those around them. Despite its well-etched characters, early on these cases felt like an excuse to lecture us about important issues like consent and the impact of violent video games on vulnerable teenagers and sexist company policies, as if the aim here was to educate rather than engage, and I was struggling to find something to hold on to in terms of a narrative that hooks you and keeps you coming back for more. But gradually the series grew on me and I got lost within it. The morally ambiguous cases and scenarios grew increasingly more fascinating and I started to fall for these characters. I'm still processing much of my experience of this show, but as badass lawyer Deepak Rana would say, let's focus on what we do know and look at the facts. The cases themselves cover everything from a community of farmers fighting against a greedy corporation to an IVF clinic scam. Easily my favorites were the episodes which examine the ethical implications of technology. Who's to blame for an accident involving a self-driven car? If an artificial intelligence like algorithm creates a song similar to yours, is it plagiarism? Can a dating app be allowed to catfish its own users? These are well-crafted, genuinely thought-provoking stories and ideas which writers Shefali Bhushan, Jayant Digambar Sumalkar, Manav Bhushan and Deeksha Gujral approach with curiosity and an open mind, with Gautam Kishan Chandani's sharp casting of all the judges, lawyers and witnesses adding a great deal to the authenticity and honesty of the proceedings. But some of the bigger picture overarching story arcs didn't all have the same impact. There's a whole thread about an ongoing murder trial involving Deepak's client which looms large over every episode, that takes too long to materialize and set up and feels distracting. There's also a surprisingly mature and affecting love triangle, as well as the raging office politics within KK Associates involving Deepak's aggressively insecure fellow partner Shubhrat, who wants nothing more than to take Deepak down, played by an impressive and suitably resentful Pranay Pachauri. Not to mention the rise of the firm's new young lawyer, Shubhangi Khanna, played by Namita Sheth, who, like her character, rises to the occasion with confidence and ease. It's also wonderful when you see talented actors who have existed on the periphery for too long finally get a front and center opportunity to shine. Shreya Upalgaonkar is the beating heart of Guilty Minds as Kashyap Kaze, which is a name I like so much I just want to keep finding new excuses to say it again and again. As the deeply compassionate, unwaveringly honest lawyer who feels isolated by her own principles, Shreya infuses Kashyap with both a fiery determination and fragile vulnerability. Then there's the explosively charismatic Varun Mitra, who's absolute dynamite as Deepak, adding a much needed dose of kinetic energy to the at times dreary proceedings. Varun brings just the right mix of earnest charm and slimy insensitivity to make Deepak the kind of lawyer you wouldn't always approve of, but you definitely want on your side. In terms of the wider cast, there are more sparkling performances here to mention than I have time for. The always earnest Sugandha Garg as Vandana, or Kulbhushan Kharbanda, who just always seems to understand the assignment, here as KK Associates managing partner. It was also just so cool to see Shakti Kapoor on screen again, here playing a disgruntled music producer fighting an algorithm that's ripped off his work. But easily my favorite supporting character was Sukhita Iyer as the cheeky, charming private detective Parvati who can wheedle out information from just about anyone. Hers is a story that I'd want to know more about. I think my only real issue with Guilty Minds was the show's sanitized depiction of Indian courts. I get that any legal drama has to take certain creative liberties to dramatically liven cases up, but if this show is to be believed, all hearings everywhere are well argued and remarkably efficient. Verdicts are quick, fair and decisive, and the only thing that truly matters is the strength of your case. I found the coherence and maturity of the arguments across every single legal matter deeply frustrating. Anyone who's done the grind in and out of Indian courts will know what I mean. The show doesn't seem to be interested in just how crippled and rotten the system is. You never feel the lethargy or painstaking uphill battle and endless delays. Every matter is dealt with swiftly within a matter of weeks. Now that is a fantasy world that I would love to live in. That aside, over its 10 episodes, slowly but surely for me, Guilty Minds evolved from an odd to an interesting to an ultimately rewarding show led by a protagonist that I cared about deeply and I would happily go to war for. I, for one, look forward to more intrepid adventures of Kashav Kaze. You can watch Guilty Minds on Amazon Prime Video.